Well, good morning everybody, and it's time for another video. We are going to look at what I call the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Now let's call them the four Muskateers of basically the Tiwanaku and world catastrophe. These are people who all agreed that the Earth used to spin at 290 days a year and may have had 30 hours a day. They had their own theory called world ice, and we are going to get into this and how exciting it all is. This has all been discredited. It's all been forgotten. It's all been lost. Why has it been lost? I believe because certain people lost World War II and that has discredited it. There are other reasons why this has been discredited, such as the fact that this bloke here, the first of the four horsemen, has suggested that the moon was ice and most of the world was ice. We have supposedly found out that the moon is not ice, and that it therefore this discredits his entire theory and everything he has ever said. Period. Right. So let's get into it. Firstly, I've got Edition 25 OBS. If someone knows how to do picture-in-picture, I'd be much obliged. I can't seem to do picture-in-picture. I'd love to have my face here so I could hold up stuff to show you, but that's that right there. So that's okay. That's fine. We're good with that. So Ancient Mysteries, let's get into Mr. Horbiger. And Mr. Horbiger once gazed at the moon and he thought, the moon is weird. Now, all physicists know that the moon is very weird. It's very strange. It doesn't quite follow the laws of physics. We pretend that it does. And if the moon doesn't, does the Earth. Everything is quite strange and unusual in our solar system, but we pretend that we will eventually have all the answers, because telling ourselves that assists us to feel better about ourselves. Okay, so let's get into it. And of course we're going to cover four of these scientists. They are Hörbiger, they are Posnansky, they are Edmund Kiss, and Schindler Bellamy. Let's get into it. So, the Weltweis doctrine of Horbiger, it's just a brilliant, and it says here, he did not arrive at his ideas for research, but said he had received it in a vision. That is not true. Not true at all. The moon, as we know, is very strange. Now, here I'd like to bring up, before we get into the other, into all this, this bloke says, if someone knows who this is, right, he's got a name, but I can't find anything about him, any of his articles, any of his publications, and yet he's extremely well spoken. He knows what he's talking about, and he claims the moon is a plasma. He must have been a reader of some of these old theories about the moon. I'd love to know exactly who he is. The name seems to be different. I believe he could have been a defected Soviet scientist. So anyway, Hörbiger, he was an engineer. He was an inventor. He discovered you could replace the leather flaps on a blast furnace with a sort of steel opening in order to increase the efficiency. He had such fascinating ideas. One of his ideas was that there was a water girdle around the Earth. This water girdle was basically created by a very close former moon which had come up very close to the Earth. This moon no longer exists, and this moon created a gravitational attraction around the equator, which pulled all the water out of the poles and towards the equator. So it's called a water girdle. All four of these scientists, they used mythology to help explain theories. So the Midgard serpent is a mid-girdle. It is a mid-belt around the Earth, around Middle Earth, which is where humans live. So what is occurring is that he said that all the water was here, and there was less water in the poles. The poles were colder, ice, and from the ice regions comes the superior people. And this is why because they were adapted to the ice, and they're different from all the equatorial people. And this is the reason why in World War II the Germans adopted this idea. They thought, oh, that's very interesting. Oh, that explains why we're different, etc., etc., etc. Right. So he said, when we lost the moon, when we lost that former moon, the all this water girdle disappeared. There was nothing to gravitationally hold it in place, and it created tidal waves and a flood. And the temperature then dropped, and this was accompanied by cosmic upheaval. There were the upheaval of Tiwanaku. Possibly, I'm not sure if he mentioned Tiwanaku. I believe it was his followers who mentioned Tiwanaku. And they all seem to have engaged in some sort of correspondence with one another. So let's get into it. And they all seem to have agreed with each other, and all this vanished with the defeat of Germany in World War II, except for Hans Schindler, who continued this research. And he was a German, but he was a Jew, so he continued the research, even though it had been used for other purposes. So let's continue. The next in our litany is Archer Posnansky. We've done a video on him. We've discussed him. There he is again, looking very serious indeed. And we've already talked all about him in a video about 2 or 3 years ago. And so I'm not going to repeat myself. You can simply go to my videos and you can find that video. Excellent. And he wrote some books about Tiwanaku, and he believed, okay, this is, he was influenced by ideas of Horbiger. He corresponded with these others, and he believed that, look, the Earth had a different spin before. It was 290 days or so, or 298 days, or something like that, something under 300 days. And he said that, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, this and it's changed, and this was accompanied by upheaval. And of course, he's extremely famous also for saying that Tiwanaku was once a tropical civilization, and there were different races of builders which came in and built it, or destroyed it, or took over, or rebuilt it, etc., etc., etc. And of course, the current thinking is very different to his thinking and to his research and to the research of all 4 of these. Which is correct? I actually don't know. A lot of current thinking is based on carbon-14. Is carbon-14 completely accurate? It does seem to be accurate. It does seem to be. Is it completely accurate? I don't know. Edmund Kiss is the next one. And he wrote fiction as well as non-fiction, and you always see this abusive term. I don't know why they need to do that. That's really wrong. I think we've seen in the last 4 years that authority is rubbish. The Western world is if we zoom out, we would see that in an instant the Western world has gone from very rich, very successful to almost a state of anarchy, a state of collapse. People cannot afford anything anymore. All the gains of the 20th century, the 8-hour day, that's all gone. That is gone in the UK. That's gone in Australia. That's gone in the USA. All that's gone. We have seen that everything that we thought has turned out to be the opposite. So Edmund Kiss is a very interesting bloke. He talked about this land in the north led by Balder. Balder is of course the fallen giant, the fallen angel in Germanic mythology. Balder of Viborg, a native of mythical Tula who migrated across the world, and of course this might have influenced Thor Heyerdahl, etc., etc. Global flooding. It goes on and on. And Kiss did calculations along with others, and he basically he supported the idea of a day of a year that was under 260 190 days. He gave a present to Hitler of Hörbiger's Welteislehre theory, world ice theory, etc., etc. He was fined after the war. He was on trial or something. And books on mysticism, Critias, Atlantis, just exciting. Yeah, I love this stuff, and we should do what we love. Shouldn't we do what we love? And that is Edmund Kiss right there. That's a photo that I found on eBay. And the last one of the four horsemen of Tiwanaku and world catastrophe, Hans Schindler Bellamy. Now, he's actually, despite the name, an Englishman, an English professor in Vienna, and he was Jewish. So although he was a devotee of Hörbiger, he didn't like what was happening in World War II, and they fled to Britain in 1938. And he wrote some very interesting books. He supported this. I'm just reading one of his books now. I'm finishing it up, called Built Before the Flood, The Problem of the Tiwanaku Ruins. I can't necessarily... I don't recommend anything. I just... Because the first half's alright, the second half's a bit technical, it's a bit involved, it's a bit about how his theory works, but it's... Anyway. But anyway, he wrote books about... and the Electric Universe people are really interested in similar things, using mythology to find out what happened in the past. And, of course, Velikovsky eclipsed all of these people in the 50s, and because humans tend to have tunnel vision, they forgot that all these four existed. All these four scientists existed. Oh look, he even jumped on the ancient astronauts thing, as I did, inventions from outer space. But I'm now going to write other books about other things. I'm putting the finishing touches on a book called How to Think Like a Druid, so we'll get to that. Anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed this video, and keep in touch. Cheerio.